Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Den 313 here with another episode. If you are confused, I'm Will and that's Steve, and we're going to talk some Detroit Lions content. And I only say that because I got a DM, and you would imagine that the DM would give it away, but saying, "Hey, Steve." So, hey, I'm Will, that's Steve. There is a resemblance. I get when
Yeah, we're almost twins, I would say. I don't see hardly any differences.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, completely understandable. No harm, no foul. But we're going to talk some Detroit Lions content. But before we get into it, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and members giveaway. Steve has a beautiful helmet that's over there. We got some gift cards. We got some other stuff that we plan on doing. So, to win that stuff, you got to be a member, man. So, there's different tiers. Go ahead and select the tier of your choosing. And let's get into this Detroit Lions content. Steve, what the heck are we talking about today?
If everyone's not familiar with who Peter Schrager is, he was on, I think he used to be on NFL Network, Good Morning Football, and now he's with ESPN. He said something on, I think it was Get Up on the other day, and I seen it kind of circulating on Twitter in regards to Jared Goff being the most important piece in the NFC North. So obviously, we're Detroit Lions fans, Will. That's our quarterback. That's our guy. We got to have a talk. Is Jared Goff the most important piece in the whole division? Is he, Will?
Man, that's a tough question because I got to remember we're in the barbershop. We're in the locker room. We're just talking. We're having a conversation because the first thing that I want to say is he's the most important piece for the Detroit Lions, and that's what I'm worried about. But
bingo.
Yeah, as a football fan though, when I kind of erase that and I say as a football fan, if the Lions weren't my team and I was just thinking just as a football fan, actually, I think so. I think I could see where that's coming from with the coaching changes, with losing Frank Ragnow, who's making all of the calls in the center of the defense. So now you're going to have a different play caller. And Frank Ragnow's been there, the last 7 seasons? He's been there for the whole Detroit Lions career, Jared Goff. So he's going to have a new guy making those calls. Jared Goff, who there were some questions about him with the Rams, I believe. But now I think the Detroit Lions are very comfortable with him making audibles, making changes, doing things on the fly. Will he be able to do that with essentially a rookie season between him and whoever his next center signal caller is? So, yeah, I could see as a team that's supposed to be having Lombardi dreams, right? They're supposed to be contenders for the Super Bowl. I could see Jared Goff being a very important piece because everybody else, man, isn't under the same stresses that I feel like the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff are. Would you agree with that? Or you sitting in a different boat, Steve?
William, this is the Detroit Den 313. It's not the Packers Den. It's not the Bears Den. It's not the Vikings Den. I'm biased. I'm 100% biased here, and I can admit that. I don't think I can take myself like usual and put myself into a spectrum of a broad view of the NFC division. I don't care about the Bears, the Vikings, or the Packers. I only care about them when we play them. I'm worried about, or not worried, I care about what Jared Goff does from week 1 to the last game of the season. So, in my opinion, with that being my vision, yes, Jared Goff is the most important piece to this Detroit Lions team. If we're taking health out of the equation and we're taking injuries out of it, roster's completely healthy, everything's good, I got to have the quarterback for my top 5 offense playing good football. And you hit something really, really well yesterday, Will. Hats off. When you said, and we were talking about Jared Goff yesterday, and we were talking, we don't need Jared Goff to be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. We just need him to be that Jared Goff that he was in that NFC Championship game. I couldn't agree more, where he's just really consistent, really accurate, really deadly, just making good choices. That's all I need from Jared Goff. He's never going to bust off a 55-yard touchdown or take over the game with his legs or extend plays that much, but he could be an assassin in the pocket. That's really all I need him to do. I need him to do more of what he did against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Even though I know we lost that game, I put zero blame on Jared Goff. I need that over what I saw in the Washington Commanders game. If that's the Jared Goff we're getting from 2 years ago, I think that this offense is going to be just fine. And Peter Schrager, he alluded to the loss of Frank Ragnow and Ben Johnson and whatever else we may have lost. He hinted all that and kind of put a lot of the pressure on Jared Goff. And I think that Jared Goff is under pressure, but I don't think it's going to bother him. I think he's the catalyst of the offense. Like, we're only going to go as far as he takes us. Like, he's only 2 people on a football field football every single time. Well, one of them is the quarterback. So he is absolutely the most important piece for the Detroit Lions.
Well, I would pretty much say the same thing outside of I think you got to have Levi Onwuzurike in the conversation. But serious question, serious question now. Um, Steve, when I think about this whole thing and this whole conversation as a whole, it makes me think about something. And this isn't exactly where I sit, but I'm going to pose the question to you: will Jared Goff be the reason why we win the Super Bowl, or do you believe that this is more about the team, the team, the team? And the reason why I'm asking that is because if we're going to sit here and say that he is the most important piece, I think we got to look at, can we ever envision a world to where we say, listen, Jared Goff put the team on his back and won the Super Bowl, or will he always be more of that point guard of the team, leading us to a Super Bowl? Can you envision a world where Jared Goff says, "Hey, listen, it's playoff time. Got boys, hop on. I'm gonna take us to the promised land."
That's a tough question. Well, that's a really tough question because I don't think we win a Super Bowl with this roster without Jared Goff. Like, if that makes sense. But can he be? If we're raising the Lombardi Trophy, I don't know that I can flat out with 100% confidence say, "Dang, we won that Super Bowl because we had Jared Goff as our quarterback." Now he could be a big factor. I think. I think he's going to get a lot of praise if he's a Jared Goff and if it's a Super Bowl and he goes out and he throws 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 280 yards, like a modest game, we win a Super Bowl. That's literally all I need him to be. Like, I don't need, the game against Buffalo where he threw for like close to 500 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns, but we lost. That was great because we were playing from behind. But I mean, if you had him in fantasy football, you probably won. But I don't care about that shit. I care about winning football games. I just need him to take care of the football, make good decisions. I don't want to call him a game manager because I really do think that when he's hot, he's more than a game manager. But I don't think game manager is like a term of disrespect. I think it could be a great thing, like being a great game manager. I think that's a hell of an accolade to me. Like, I'm giving that praise. So I don't want anyone to take that with disrespect when I say that Jared Goff is a great game manager. But that's all I need him to be. Now, if he does more, then I think we're probably in a game where we're playing behind. But I think that this Lions offense, we got weapons. Like, I think one of our best weapons is Jahmyr Gibbs. So what do we want to do? We're going to see how that offensive line looks without Frank Ragnow. But I still think that the meat and potatoes of our offense is going to be running the football. We have 2 running backs that will probably have over 1,000 yards. We got 2 wide receivers who will probably have over 1,000 yards. We got a tight end who's going to flirt with 1,000 yards. So we have playmakers everywhere for Jared Goff to be successful. But I don't need him to be the guy. I just need him to be really, really good. Will, does that answer your question?
It does, and I really like what you said, man, and where you're sitting. I kind of alluded to my thoughts when I used the term that I used instead of game manager. I want Jared Goff to be the point guard of this team, man. To use a basketball analogy, just because I want him to do the little things. And I feel like that'll just put us in a great position with all the weapons that we have. And if we can hold water or above defensively, we'll just put them in a good position. I don't necessarily think that we'll ever look at the Detroit Lions and be like, hey, listen, we could have only did this with Jared Goff. While other, like Patrick Mahomes, some things happen for the Kansas City Chiefs just because of Patrick Mahomes. I don't know that will ever be the case with the Detroit Lions. But what I'm looking for from Jared Goff, I want him to understand his guys. Hey, some guys like the ball above their head. Some guys don't mind it at their chest. Some guys like it out in front of them. Some want you to put it right on them. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a guy, he'll catch that bad boy in traffic, put it right on top of him. You know what I mean? Hey, sometimes Khalif Raymond wants you to get it out in front of him when he's catching those little bubbles. He wants to catch it in stride and run with it. Just understanding his guys, knowing where to put the football, knowing where not to put the football, knowing how to throw the football away when it's time, knowing when to eat a sack and not turn the ball over, just knowing when to take shots when it's okay. All I want is for him to be the point guard of this team. Hey, knowing how I got to talk to Penei Sewell as opposed to maybe how I got to talk to Jahmyr Gibbs, as opposed to maybe how I got to talk to Sam Laporta to keep them all motivated. I think every quarterback in the NFL, all 32 teams, should be a phenomenal game manager, but I'm looking for game manager plus, man. I'm looking for that point guard. I feel like a point guard in moments can take over a game. I think Jared Goff in moments can go 18 for 18, Steve, right? In moments. Yeah. Yeah. So in moments, he can be what feels is unstoppable. That's all I need. I need him to be able to take over the team in moments. I need him to be able to distribute the football. I need him to have an understanding when the run game is hot, and I can say, hey, listen, we're going to get this thing to David Montgomery. We're going to get it to Jahmyr Gibbs. Keep handing this thing off. Be able to will that offensive line to keep motivated and keep things moving and rolling. Just be the point guard of this team. And I think that the Detroit Lions are going to continue to be successful. But if he gets to a point to where, and this is what worries me about Jared Goff, he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He lives with a chip on his shoulder. Just don't do too much. I felt like in that Houston Texans game, we got a little bit behind the momentum of the game. Some bad things happened, some interceptions, bad plays. And then I felt like he started pressing. And then towards the second half, especially that fourth quarter of the game, he started to just play. Hey, listen, we're not going to give up. We're not going to give in. We're just going to play. I'm going to keep ripping it. Guys, we're good. Just be that guy. You don't got to prove anything to anybody. Just be you, play hard, lead, and do things the right way. That Jared Goff from San Francisco 49ers NFC Championship game, just don't lose us football games. Don't do anything extra. Just make the right plays at the right time. I think a Super Bowl is definitely something the Detroit Lions can do with that Jared Goff.
Let me throw something at you, Will, and maybe I'm crazy, or maybe it's just a little bit of negativity from me. But do you ever just like, are you ever just watching the games or at the games, and you're just like, you can tell early on, like, man, Jared's probably gonna have a bad game, or dang, Jared's on, like this is gonna be one of those good games. Do you ever get that vibe? Because I remember watching that Houston game, and I just thought, like, after the second interception, I was just like, I think this is just going to be one of those Jared Goff games where we're going to need some things to go. I never thought we were going to lose. Let's just be clear on that. And there's people out there who will speak on that. I had to leave a buddy's house while watching that game because they were being so negative about how we were going to lose. I said, no, we're going to win this game. I don't know how, but we'll find a way. But it just seemed like I had a vibe like, all right, we're going to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be because Jared Goff. Like we had to get some defensive stops. We had to get a couple turnovers from Carlton Davis. We had to get a couple big plays and start getting some momentum in other areas that weren't involving Jared Goff to win that football game. I think that the Washington Commanders was the same way. Like I knew early on, like, all right, Jared doesn't have it today. Who's going to be someone on defense or offense to make a big play consistently? We were looking for someone on defense to get a couple extra turnovers and maybe see if Jared could get hot, and we just couldn't get it. But do you ever just get those vibes like, man, Jared just doesn't have it today, or is it just me?
It's 1,000%. I feel like over the history of Jared Goff's career, that's who he's been. You get into a first quarter of a game, and you can kind of see this might be a game to where we need to lean on the run game, or we need to get him some short dink and dunk throws to maybe get him rolling. But Jared Goff, to me, he's there's a guy that played for the New York Knicks, man. Never been a crazy Knicks fan, but I was a fan of that era of basketball, the 80s, the 90s, the bad
Latrell
boys.
Sprewell.
Yeah, no, not Latrell Sprewell. That was he was the king of the 22-inch rims, but and dunking the basketball.
Stephon Marbury, last guess.
Nope, negative. He was number 3 though.
I know you.
John Starks. John Starks was his name. John Starks. But anyways, John Starks was a guy who could get crazy hot. He could get hitting threes, dunking on you, mid-range. Like he could take over a basketball game. He also could be 0 for 18 instead of like Goff, 18 for 18. So there was no guarantee that he was going to have a phenomenal game night in and night out. You didn't know what you were going to get. Jared Goff, I'm not going to say has that as much of it, but he has a little bit of that, man. Sometimes Jared just is cold for whatever reason. He can't get stuff going, and it seems like when it rains, it pours. Just need that not to happen in the playoff time.
It's frustrating, Will, because I know we've talked for years about how, we have confidence that the Lions are going to win. And it's usually been if the Detroit Lions defense plays good. But sometimes it's like, all right, this offense is going to score 42 points. So if we get a couple stops, we're good. And that's if Jared Goff plays well. Are you 100% comfortable with Jared Goff as your quarterback? Because I'll be first and I'll say it. I'm not 100% confident. Like, I don't go into Sundays and just say, dang, we're going to win this game because of Jared Goff. Now, I know I'm probably going to get hammered for, Steve hates Jared Goff. He's one of those Jared Goff haters. I've always been lukewarm when it comes to Jared Goff. Like, I'm on the fence. Like, he's my quarterback. I support him. No other team can talk shit about Jared Goff. Right? If you're a Bears fan, fuck off. Only I can talk about it. That's my guy. Okay. It's like my, it's like your kids. Like, I'll discipline my kids. You don't worry about what's going on. Okay. Let me handle my own. But I just don't have 100% utmost confidence going into Sundays that Jared Goff is going to be the reason we win a football game. But 80% of the time, he usually is. So am I alone in that boat, Will?
You're not alone. I would say Jared Goff is my brother. Right? My brother plays a shitty game.
On my brother, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If he plays a shitty game, I'm gonna be in the series. You played like trash. It was terrible. You couldn't do shit. What is the matter with you? What were you doing? Right. But if some parent or some fan comes up and talks crazy about him, I'm gonna be like, hold on, man. What's up? What are we doing, man? Fall back. What's going on? So that's what it is, man. But no, I don't feel 100% comfortable. He's not one of those guys to where it's like a Patrick Mahomes or somebody like that, man. That Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, the list goes on. Guys that I would have no issue, no questions, no worries going out there, and he's gonna lead my team that Sunday, Monday, Thursday night, whatever it is. But I will say I'm 90% comfortable with it. And I'm 100% comfortable with the fact that I know he's not going to give up. He's not going to give in. He's going to keep pressing and keep trying. But I think that nobody can really say that they're 100% comfortable with Jared Goff because of the way that we describe him, Steve. We're describing him as a guy. Really, we describe him as a guy that is a game manager plus a little bit. He's not just a game manager. He's not. I'll definitely say that he's not just a game manager, but he's a game manager with a little bit of extra skills, with a little bit of extra abilities. To me, you can find some game managers. Now, is there a bunch of them out there in the league? Like, is Jared Goff just a replaceable at the blink of an eye? No, I don't think that at all. But is it more findable than the other guys that I named? Is it easier to find a Jared Goff than it is a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, CJ Stroud, even? Like it's easier to find a Jared Goff, a guy that you're gonna give the football and say, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you this football, man. I'm also gonna give you a pretty freaking good offensive line. I'm gonna give you 2 top 10 running backs. I'm going to give you a receiver that is one of the fastest players in the league, but also will block his butt off and be a football player. I'm going to give you a phenomenal possession receiver, top 3 tight end. Like, I need you to just take care of the football and make some plays. I do believe that this thing could look a little bit different if we got a guy in here who could rush for some first downs. Like, I do think that would be, he could also be a similar game manager, but he'd have to make a couple plays with his feet. So, do I think that there could potentially be another Jared Goff, or is he replaceable, I guess, and so to speak? There's a world where he could get replaced. Not saying that I want it to happen, and I'm not saying that is any disrespect towards him, but you don't just go out and replace those other guys. You don't just go out and get another Josh Allen. Like, you don't just go out and get another Patrick Mahomes. You don't just find, I don't know if there'll ever be, I'm sure there will be at some point, but you don't know that, hey, next year's draft we'll find a guy that's going to be comparable. Hey, we'll trade for a guy that'll be comparable or whatever. You know what I mean? So if that answers the question, that's how I feel about Jared. He's our quarterback. Love him to death. He's my brother, man. I don't want nobody talking crap about him. But, Detroit Lions fans can be critical. But if you're not a Detroit Lions fan, we might have to you talk about my boy Jared.
Meet us at the slides at 8 p.m.
100%, man. That's right. That's right.
I think Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes said this like a year or two ago. I can't remember who it was, but it's easier to get worse at quarterback. Like, I know things could be way worse. I don't want to be like one of those teams that have been looking for a quarterback, like the Browns, the Jets, the Steelers the last couple years. Like, there's a lot of teams out there that have just been shuffling the Broncos. Like, they just shuffle quarterbacks and they're just hoping something sticks. The draft is not always guaranteed, and I am well aware that our situation at quarterback could be way worse. And I think the leap from Jared Goff to like a Josh Allen is a decent sized gap, but it's not one that I'm willing to risk restarting my franchise on, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not willing to risk Jared Goff to try to get Josh Allen in the draft because I know how hard that is. It is few and far between. Like the draft is never a guarantee. There's so many quarterbacks. I think quarterbacks are more likely to be bust in the draft than any other position. Like there's just so much pressure, so much you got to do, so much you got to know. Everyone's big, everyone's fast, but I definitely don't want to regress. And I think that there is a significant gap between Jared Goff and that next tier of quarterbacks like the Joe Burrows who are really, really good, but they don't win the big dance or something goes on, but maybe they're not losing because of their quarterback. So I definitely don't want to be in that boat for sure. So Jared Goff's our guy. Listen, I love Jared Goff. I don't really get into the Jared Goff chance anymore. That's kind of burnt out, but that's my quarterback, right? Plain and simple. Like we win with them, we die with them. Like that's who we're going to war with every game. And I'd have no one else that's a realistic option for my quarterback right now. So, I mean, I can't talk about like trading Goff for Mahomes. Not realistic. So what we have is what we have. I think Jared Goff is capable of winning us a Super Bowl. But, Jared, can we just check that off this year? Can we just stop waiting? Like, buddy, you've been in town for 4 years. Like, we know you can get the job done. I really believe JG can take us to a Super Bowl and win it. If he's playing Jared Goff capable football that is not like the Washington Commanders or the Houston Texans or a couple other duds he's had, if he's just really, really good, bring that Lombardi home, Jared. That's all we need.
Yeah, I like it, man. That's all I got.
Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.